Boogaloo! Another wonderful WrestleRoni for me and for you. Heck, we had done hit 250, and we got Anthony Perdue on the show. How we doing, Mr. Perdue?
Doing great, Lou. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. Doing really good. We've hit 250. I've been wanting to talk to you for a minute, and we're doing it right here today, so I'm glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here, buddy.
Heck yeah. Was you at the tapings last night, the APW TV tapings?
I was. We got to do a little fun stuff last night, and the talent is really starting to shine and really starting to peak, and a lot of young talent coming up. It's hard to believe that after 27 years of doing this, I'm the old guy now, and I'm not the young guy. So it's seeing all the younger guys in there doing their thing, and trying to learn and get better, and it just brings back tons of old memories and old feelings, and it's just a good atmosphere anytime you can get in the locker room and work with people, and it's just a good time.
I know when I came up a couple weeks ago, I was super impressed, very impressed, not only with the talent. I knew the talent was good because I know most of the talent, but the new guys I saw, I was super impressed. I was impressed with how Joe runs things, the production, the backstage atmosphere, the audience. And you talk about the young talent, talk about a cool mix. You're seeing the future today with some vets like yourself, Joe Brody, and the rest, TJ. I mean, what a great mix, and the old school feel.
Yes, it's I'm telling you, when you step in there and you're watching this, it takes you back to the old classic Mid-Atlantic NWA, all that stuff that we got to grow up watching, that made, like, a person like myself, I was an 80s baby, so I got to see the rise of Magnum TA and Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair when he was, once he got the belt from Race and he really took off into his things. That was my era of wrestling. So, and then you talk about Joe, his era was before mine.
Okay.
And, so you got all of those genres and generations of the up and coming pro wrestling when it was like first started hitting mainstream, like everybody really started knowing about it. And, you got then the new generation of wrestlers and stuff with the young people coming in and things like that. It is truly a amazing locker room with just people supporting each other and working together and trying to bring the best in-ring performance for all of the fans in Southern West Virginia.
I love it. Compare that locker room you see at APW, for better or for worse, to your typical locker room back in, let's say, 99, 2000, sometime around there.
Honestly, for me, I've never been in what you would say was a bad locker room.
Good.
Most of the people that I've come across, you always have one or two bad apples, no matter where you go. There's always one in a crowd. But for the most part, the locker rooms that I've got to spend time in and learn from, like you say, in the late 99 into early 2000s and stuff like that, the locker room that I got to share with people was top notch, like, because you had guys like McKeever and Joe and Brian Logan, people of that nature that had been around for a while. And Johnny Blast and Spider Crowley, and I can't forget Joey Morton and Chuck Jones. Those are two personal favorites of mine. I got to tag with them, and it was just a great locker room to learn from, because these guys at that time were, where I am now. They were the guys that had been doing it for years, and sharing the road with these guys and just picking their brains and learning, and just the times I got to spend with George South and Ricky Morton later on. And gosh, man, I feel like I'm going to leave out of 500,000 people that I've met along the way and learned something from.
Sure.
But back then, I was a baby. I was the 19, 20-year-old first starting out, and I didn't have a clue about anything. So I'm trying to pull every bit of information in that I can, and it was just great. And now, comparing that to now, it's a lot of the same feel for me because I still try to bring what I learned back then into what I show people and how I approach things to people now, trying to do what they did for me to the younger people now. And there's a lot of same feeling and a lot of different feeling all at the same time. But I can't say that for me, none of it's bad.
Good.
So it's young guys keep learning, vets keep teaching, you know what I mean? So
Heck yeah. Okay, well, let's see if you can give me an example here. The majority of the traditions carry through, and they're the way they are for a reason,
mhm.
continue to last the test of time. But society's changing, wrestling's changed so much since 1999. Can you give me an example of a lesson you may have learned then or some information given then that you wouldn't pass along to a young guy now if you wanted him to succeed?
um a lot of things that vets would tell you, work as much as possible.
Okay.
Get in the ring as often as you can. Um, and I agree to that, but I don't agree to that.
Okay.
For the simple fact that some people, once they get in the ring, they stop really trying to hone their craft.
Oh.
And if they don't keep seeking out that training from different areas, and because a lot of people teach things differently,
Yeah.
it all has its same form and it's all structured the same, but there's differences. And just like going up north as opposed to the further south you go, the difference in the training is way different, but a lot of the same. Crowds up north like different things than crowds down south.
Mm-hmm.
And if you only train and work in the south, you're good. But if you try to go north, you get booed out of the building,
If you're
you know,
lucky.
if you're
Yeah,
lucky.
you might get
Eh,
crickets.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So my word of advice is to everybody: never stop training, never stop trying to learn, never stop trying to learn different styles and different forms. The key to it all is learn how to work, learn what you're doing, and learn how to, uh, do everything. Don't just get stuck in one form, one fashion, because you got uh, wrestling in the South, you got wrestling in the North, you got strong style, you got uh, all kinds of just different forms that people throw out there with you in different areas of wrestling.
For
And
sure.
if you just stick to one thing, you're not growing yourself. And if you can't be a complete wrestler, there's different levels. You got the indies, and then you got your top tier indie, your big promotions, and
Mm-hmm.
then you get up into your you know AEWs and WWEs and different things like that. And if you ever want to advance up the ladder, to be more successful, to earn more pay and things like that, you got to be willing to push yourself and learn everything that you can.
Yeah, you've got to be able to work all those styles. You got to be able to work a great
Yeah.
Khali or a Rey Mysterio or whatever it may
Right.
be. And I think that gives a good segue because I think we both know a place you can go to learn. Tell me about what does APW offer? Because we're talking, you might learn some lucha in Mexico. You might learn some New York style in New York. What's APW offering to these? What are you seeing in the training classes?
In the training classes, yeah, I'm the head trainer there now.
Okay.
So I get to work with all the young guys, and even our more advanced senior guys that's been doing it for a little while. We come up there and we work together. We focus on all the new stuff, as far, or not new stuff, but um, how to get you prepared to enter the ring, the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get to a level of knowing how to do the basics, then we start progressing as far as we can with different styles. And we like to really focus on the old school style of ways to get people ready, because if you don't learn the basics, you're never going to get ready.
Right on.
And that's a lot of the problem you see when you go to places is um, the basics, because everybody wants to mimic what they're seeing on TV and prime time wrestling and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And if you can't do the basics, that stuff ain't gonna look good either.
Yeah, yeah. These
So
guys, they have to realize the AEW and WWE's got production out the
mhm.
wazoo. This indie
Yeah,
show in your high school, that's being seen with the human eye.
yeah,
You gotta have the crowd along with you, man.
you do. And if you go out there and you can make the fans pop at the beginning of your match, and you have them popping at the end of the match, you did your job.
Right on.
And if you pop them at the beginning and you hear crickets, you didn't do your job. If you don't get them standing up and hearing noise at the beginning,
Mhm.
at least hopefully you can get them standing and clapping at the end.
Okay.
And then you kind of did your job. But you want both. You want people to know who you are. You want to stand out. You want to get, if you're a baby face, you want to get the people behind you from the get go. If you're healing, you want the people to dislike you. And a lot of people think you got to go out there and cut people down and call them names and call them trash and all this other stuff, but you don't. You go out there, and even as a heel, you can still make people dislike you without downgrading the people that paid their hard-earned money to come watch you do what you do. And a lot of times, you know, I see people, they downgrade other wrestlers to try to get themselves over and uh,
Mm-mm.
things of that nature. And you don't have to do that. And if you learn how to work in the ring and you perfect your craft and hone your skills, the crowd will either love you or they'll hate you, and you don't have to cut them down to make that happen.
Okay. One cool thing you mentioned was the pop, the energy, or whether it's the heat. Give
Yep.
me your favorite moment, whether it was your favorite pop you were a part of, or the biggest heat draw, just some great reaction from the fans that gave you goosebumps.
Well, I was years ago, uh, here in I'm in the Oak Hill, Beckley, Fayetteville area. Um, APW was a different promotion back then.
Okay.
It was the Appalachian Professional Wrestling,
Okay.
and Joe was a part of that too.
Okay.
And he knows exactly what I'm talking about. He took two young, uh, not knowing anything kids, and myself and my tag team partner Jack Miller, and I was the first original APW heavyweight champion.
Nice.
And after I, lost the title and stuff, that formed me and Jack into our tag team, and we were called the New Breed, given to us by George South and Joe.
Nice.
And pretty much we were wannabe Hardy Boys. I mean, we could have passed for their cousins if you really, I mean, because that was the popular thing
For
back then. The
sure.
Hardys were on fire.
Oh yeah.
And but we're out there and we're in dog fights with Joe and his partner. And back then there was the Canadians, Douglas and Erickson, and there was the New Breed, Blast and Crowley. The Blondes, which I was originally a part of the Atomic Blondes with Chuck Jones and Joey Morton.
Okay.
And Joey and Chuck were still in the mix of things. We just had so many, many good tag teams there. And uh, me and Jack ended up becoming the most over babies there in the
Nice.
tag team division. And, it was, we're two young kids and we're out there dog fighting with these guys, trying to do our best, trying to do our best. One of the biggest pops for me that I had been a part of was the night me and Jack won the tag team titles for the first time from the Urban Death Squad.
Okay.
And ultimately, the feuds between the New Breed and the Urban Death Squad, uh, APW had got so popular, they did award shows. And for the year of 2001, 2000 or 2001, I think it was 2001, Urban Death Squad and New Breed got feud of the year for the little ceremony thing that they did.
Okay.
But man, when we won those tag titles, dude, you talking about a place erupting.
Yeah.
That National Guard Armory over in Oak Hill, it about blew the roof off that place. And
Yeah.
we're talking 250, 300 strong, crowd just absolutely erupted. And we had that on a weekly basis. Every Tuesday night over in Oak Hill
Okay.
was 200 to 300 people every single night over there
Man.
during that time. So when you're out there battling and doing all this stuff and you get fans behind you the way that we did. There were little kids showing up with painted faces, different color hair, new breed, trying to mimic the clothes we wore and stuff like that. And when we won those titles, it was one of the loudest pops I'd heard in that building.
I love it.
So it was great. It was really great.
And you talk about a special time for our local scene, especially, at least for me on the outside looking in. And maybe you didn't even realize it because I know when you're part of the business, everything just zooms by. But if you
Yeah.
talk about a time of change, and of course, TV wrestling's hotter than it's ever been.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
that time from 2001, and I would even go as late as 2010, you had different promotions trying new things. It was the first time had seen like the ROH style in West
Yeah.
Virginia, the more high spot. What just if you can take me because I'm a big fan of Beckley and Oak Hill in that area. Just take me
Hmm.
through that time and when did you see things start to decline? Because it's still great, but we both know it's not like it was then.
No, it's not. It goes back to so many people trying to do fly by night promotions to make quick cash.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, when you have that, you have people, and it comes with the talent too. Um, Promoters want to book a show or promote a show, and they start throwing out names and putting these names on their posters to get people to come in to their show, and they get 100, 200 people to come to their show, but then the name don't show up.
Okay.
And you start putting Ricky Joe and Benny Hill or whoever out there in the match that they ain't trained. They don't know how to work. They don't know how to perform. They don't know how to put on a good show,
Okay.
and it turns people away from it. It burns people because they came expecting to see this big top talent wrestler, and lo and behold, he wasn't even really booked. He was
No.
just a name. He was just a name thrown on a poster, and and that returned. And in return to that, you had just egos,
Okay.
people with egos who thinking they're above the so-called business. And I use that term loosely because I'm not in the business side of things. I don't. To me, pro wrestling is a sport. It'll always be a sport. Anytime you have any type of competition, it is a sport. And if people treated it more like a sport instead of a business, um, things would have never changed. Back in the late 80s, late 70s, 80s, it was a sport.
Right.
Pro wrestling was a sport. It didn't start becoming a business till it became on mainstream TV, and then everybody wanted to throw out, I'm in this business kind of stuff.
Okay.
And that irks the crap out of me. It's not a business, it's a sport. Now, if you're a booker, you're a promoter, um, you're trying to produce stuff, then it's a business for you, like the podcast that you're doing. It's a business for you. You're putting it out there for people. If you make some money off of it, great. If however it works, that's business. Like Me and you, that's a
Hmm.
form of business.
Agreed.
Um, but when you step foot through those ropes, it's a sport because, regardless how people view pro wrestling, my goal is to pin the person that's in front of me,
Right on.
and their goal should be the same. And with that, it's a sport. And if people would treat it more like a sport, it would still be a sport instead of being a business.
Yeah.
And I do. That's one of my pet peeves. I can't stand that.
I get it. I get it. Because, I mean, even in this day and age, you have independent companies in West Virginia thinking they can
Hmm.
run a show like WWE does, trying to mimic that. And
Yeah.
I understand, copy the formula. Obviously, it's successful. They're making billions of dollars. I understand that, but you have to know where you're at. You have to realize you don't have those pretty cameras. You don't have those millions
Yeah.
of dollars. So why
Yeah.
not lean into the sport of things?
Right. And um, if you look back at the old NWA, like I'm an NWA guy. I love, and especially what NWA is doing nowadays. Um, it falls right into the same category as what Joe's trying to do with
Mm-hmm.
APW now.
Mm-hmm.
Build that territory scene of things. And if you start getting a bunch of promotions working together as opposed to working against each other,
Mm-hmm.
sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can do crossover talent if everybody, starts, just working together. Man, the sky's the limit. But like I said, when you talk about pro wrestling, you have a lot of
For
egos.
sure.
And to me, if people would stop with the egos and think of everything as a whole
Mm-hmm.
and bring back pro wrestling as a sport instead of a business, um, man, I just, because indie wrestling is still the hottest ticket going. It will always be. You go down south or up north, and I'm talking, you know, Pennsylvania, that's ROH area,
Mm-hmm.
and you get down in the south where you got these other promotions that's branded with the NWA.
Mm-hmm.
It's on fire, man.
Yep.
It's on fire. It really is. And then you got guys like over in Tennessee, like um, a, a, a good friend of mine that through the sport of wrestling, Tony Givens, and the things that those guys do down there with Innovate Wrestling and
Okay.
things like that. Man, it's
Mm-hmm.
just Tennessee is a hotbed. North Carolina will forever be a hotbed of wrestling, and even further south into Florida,
Florida.
South Carolina's banging out top matches now. And if don't get me wrong, because your prime time promotions is where everybody would love to be because that's where the money's at.
Right.
Um, but there's money for uh, wrestlers and on the indie scene. It's just a little bit harder work,
Right.
and uh, a lot of people ain't willing to do the hard work and put in the time to be successful because right out the gate they think they're the next superstar like John Cena or nowadays Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. And I was listening to I may be wrong, but I'm almost positive it's Brutal Bob Evans. I follow him on Facebook, and
Mm-hmm.
if you are not following him, for any of you workers out there that might be watching this later on, follow Brutal Bob Evans. He is a top notch guy that will lead you in the right direction on how to be successful being a indie wrestler. And it's guys like him that are seasoned veterans, been doing it for a long time. If people would pay attention to what they say and how they uh, try to teach people, coming up in this pro wrestling, that they would be better off. Um, because I didn't really have that when I started. You know,
I,
I started in the Bargain Park over in Raleigh, Raleigh County in southern West Virginia, just right outside of Beckley, and it literally was a garage building.
okay.
And I was learning from Scotty McKeever and Joe and some of the other ones out there, but you didn't have the access to the tools and knowledge that you can gain through social media
That's
nowadays.
true.
And man, I just tell you, some of the younger talent don't know how good they have it due to promotions like APW, having a weekly show, having a place to train, and um, just having all the guys that come in and out through the door out there to be able to talk to. And then you add the learning capability and just the social spotlight that people can gain from social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. And it's just a world of opportunity, and I don't see a lot of people taking it the way they could and should, kind of thing.
You brought up a good point because one thing I've been screaming on this podcast, you mentioned you didn't really have guys to teach you the ways of the business, the etiquette, and I think a lot of the training going on nowadays, and it's different at Joe's, different with Jeff, but a lot of the training in the area is here's your holds, here's your international, here's your shine, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
There's none of the psychology, not even the psychology. They might teach you in ring psychology, but how to handle yourself, and a lot of it might be that your parents should have taught you how to respect people. But
Mhm.
I think some of these guys, should be pointed in the right direction.
And yeah, I totally agree. I'm a Gen Xer, so uh, we're a little bit more. We ain't got no feelings, kind of thing.
Right on.
We just take every day as it comes to us. Um, but you talk about the international, and speak. We go back to what we were talking about earlier about locker rooms.
Hmm.
People think the international, when you're talking about this stuff, they think the international is just one thing.
Hmm.
It's certain set of moves, and you got to get the international in your match, and then we got to go jump off top rope, kind of thing.
Right on.
Um, and that goes back to what you were just saying about teach you this hold, teach you that hold, international, and let's go perform.
Hmm.
I can't stand that.
Well, yeah. It's.
One of my biggest pet peeves is people, and it goes back to just what I was saying. People don't train.
Hmm.
They go through a couple weeks and they get this, they get that, and a booker's like, okay, I'm putting you out there to work because I don't have to pay you, and I can put a body in a ring, and the fans thinks they're seeing wrestlers.
Yep.
And that's another thing that burn a lot of stuff in wrestling in the area, and just indie wrestling in general is, you got all of these guys, and there are so many talented uh, performers on the indie scene that you'll probably never see on the mainstream.
Right on. Yeah.
So if mainstream pro wrestling, or I I say that loosely because mainstream is sports entertainment, the indies is pro wrestling.
Hmm.
And even though you go to some places and you got a million high spots, you still have people that go out there and do work,
Hmm.
and they do try to build the story. And a lot of people, like you said, they're so used to trying to imitate what you see on mainstream sports entertainment as opposed to pro wrestling, and they don't learn the concept of storytelling and uh, getting the crowd involved, because there are some crowds that just want to see 450 frog splashes and a million super kicks
Right.
and different things like that.
Hmm.
There's a time and place for everything in pro wrestling. That's the Greatest thing about it.
Hmm.
Anything and everything can be done in pro wrestling. But if it don't make sense, you can't make it make sense.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, is making it make sense.
That's a good point. And you know what? That can get frustrating. We was talking before we started recording. We've both been frustrated. You've taken your time away from the business. I was telling
Mhm.
you how 3 years I've been burning the wick both ends, just doing everything I can to make it work, and I reap the rewards. I've been doing great, but it's finally catching up with me. So just kind of take me through your journey in wrestling. When was enough enough? You had to walk away. What brought you back? Peaks and valleys. Tell me all about them.
Peaks and valleys. I got started in December of 1999. I was 19 years old, fresh out of high school, and my lifelong dream since I was 5 years old, 6 years old, somewhere around through there. Um, I'll never forget. It was 1986, and it was the first time I got to see Magnum TA on national TV.
Okay.
Um, Piled up in front of the TV, watching TV with my dad, and flipping through the channels, and came across, back then it was Channel 12, TBS to Superstation, and that's NWA. That was their main spotlight time, was 8 o'clock on Saturdays, and I'll never forget seeing Magnum TA come out there, and I just thought he was super cool, man. Just a big, bad, rough biker looking dude out there kicking some tail.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out he was, from Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
That's our sister state right there.
Uh huh.
And I just thought it was cool as all get out, man. And I was hooked from then on. And so watching all of that, I wanted to be a pro wrestler. It was just cool. Later on, I got to watch the whole storyline between Flair and Steamboat, and that whole. You might remember it, you might not, but it was the first big spotlighted promotion for a pay-per-view kind of thing, and it was the rubber match between Flair and Steamboat,
Okay.
um, for the title, and they used Europe's song, "The Final Countdown."
Okay.
And if you haven't seen it, you got to go back and watch it at some point, because it'll make you fall in love with wrestling. Because that was when they really first started doing the whole uh, culmination of a feud kind of
Okay.
thing. And dude, that was so cool, just seeing Steamboat and Flair, and how they put the match segments in with the song, and stuff like that. That was, as far as like the production side of things for professional wrestling. That's when I really fell in love with that kind of stuff,
Right
because it
on.
was the whole build up.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, fast forwarding it to 1999 when I got started. I wrestled my first match in January of 2000.
Okay.
Um, 2000 to 2001, for that 99, 2000, 2001, October of, it might have been even later than that, of 2001. um, I had to have elbow surgery.
Okay.
And so for that length of time, of January of 2000 to late 2001, that's right at going on 2 years, almost
Mm-hmm.
3 years,
Okay.
looking at your time span. And I wrestled almost 4 times a week, every week, throughout those couple years there.
Wow.
My first couple months, I would do, you know, 3 or 4 shows a month for the first couple months. But then after I started getting in the ring, working guys like Cuban Assassin, Scotty McKeever, gosh, we had so many feuds, it was unreal. And I loved working that guy. Um, just out there teaching me everything. Well, then Scotty took me on the road with him and we did a loop with George South, Million Dollar Man, Ted DiBiase, and a couple other groups of guys there. We went down and did Panama City Beach, Florida. Got to wrestle on the beach. Big, huge show. People up in the hotels watching the show. Did
Nice.
a huge show down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And those were some of the biggest shows I'd been on at that time. And after that, come back, took a week or about a weekend off there, and then after that, got right back into the mix of things. And hot and heavy for those 2 years. Ended up having a cyst on my elbow, so I had to have surgery. Every time I'd hit the mat with it, my arm would go numb.
Ooh.
So I was like, we got to get that taken care of. So bowed out after that for a couple years. Fast forward to about 2000. That was 2001, late 2001 that happened. I came back in 2004 for a couple shows. I don't know, maybe about six or seven. It wasn't very long, but uh, nature of the beast, been blue collar as blue collar gets. Wrestling don't always pay the bills, so you got to work a 9 to 5 or two. So it keeps you out of the game for a while when you have to go on the road and work, and you're going to this town or that town, and you're working 10 and 12 hours a day, and so that kept me out. And I kind of hit and missed from like 2004 to about 2007.
Okay.
Maybe only doing a show here, 3 or 4 shows there, kind of thing. And I was out after about 2007, I think. Yeah, it was about 2007. Um, I left it completely. Couldn't do it no more. My 9 to 5 job just wouldn't let me do it. And I think I was about 27, 28 by then. Um, and I was pretty much had walked away from it. Didn't think I'd ever do it again. Um, Fast forward to 2013. Uh, Life happens, events change. Um, the door to pro wrestling opened back up. And when I went back to it then, I went into it hot and heavy. Um, Went everywhere I could go. Worked for WVCW up in Princeton. Was traveling to a couple a- AIWF
Okay.
in North Carolina. Got on some shows with them. Um, just working every bit that I could take. Any kind of booking I could get, I was taking. And a gentleman by the name of Leonard Sims approached me about working with some young talent, and he had Mountain State Wrestling back then,
Okay.
and so we started up a little training school where I could work, and it gave me a chance to work a little bit more, working with people, getting some people to come, so I could start honing in on some different things, and plus teaching younger people how to do the basics. Um, and that lasted for about a year, and then we ended up changing. Leonard had to go do some different things, so Mountain State didn't really run shows anymore, so um, I started up the BPWA. It was the Beckley Pro Wrestling Academy.
Okay.
And man, we took off. We partnered up with WVCW, and they were sending guys down. We partnered up with ACW, the Appalachian Champion of Wrestling. They brought in guys like Shane Douglas, Kevin Sullivan, um, things like that. Working, them out there teaching kids about things, working with some of us seasoned guys that needed to work on different things. And then man, from 2013 to 2000 and September of 2016, I was on the move. I was going everywhere. I was going up to Bristol, Pennsylvania, getting some knowledge and work ethic from some of the guys from Ring of Honor. Got to spend some time with Adam Cole, the Briscoe brothers, Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis, and got to hang out with Steve Carino and him telling me things, showing me things. So it was I learned a lot up there,
Nice.
especially about the way things were up north
Mm-hmm.
and some of their mentality on the stuff they do up there. And you know, like say, life happens. I ended up having a heart attack.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I had some things planned for Florida in 2017 that I didn't get to feel, and had to back out of the obligations because of the heart attack. And I trained my butt off. When the doctors gave me clearance, I was like, I'm getting back to that. And I just didn't. I mean, I went back to wrestling. I think I worked 4 shows. I sent you a video of the last one that I did, and that was in 2017.
Okay.
And I haven't wrestled since then,
Okay.
in front of a crowd. And so, you know, my stepping away at different times has usually been for health reasons. And I think sometimes you push yourself so hard at doing stuff, like you said, burning the candle at both ends. You do got to step away and take a little bit of time to yourself just to recharge your batteries. And, whether it's, a couple weeks, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year, for me, the health reasons kind of kept me out of it for the last 8 years. And, but now, I'm hoping one day soon I'll be able to get back into the ring. It's kind of already planned, but I got to make sure that everything is on the up and up, and the ticker's still ticking like it's supposed to. And I'm 45, so I'm no spring chicken no more. But I still think I got some stuff to offer.
I think you'll do just fine. I look forward to seeing you get back in the ring there. Yeah, as far as me, it was family. Like I didn't think it was fair to my kids or my wife that yeah, I'm living my dream and I appreciate you being supportive, but it was kind of affecting the family life. So
Yeah,
gotta look out for it. They've been around. They put up with me this long, so
yeah,
you gotta look out for the family when you do.
you do, you do.
But you mentioned Steve Carino. That's one of my all
Mhm.
timers. What can you tell me about just learning from that guy?
Oh gosh, man, getting to sit around and pick Steve's brain just a little bit. Um, he, if you haven't never met Steve
Yep.
or know him on a more personal level than just seeing him on TV and stuff like that,
Hmm.
he loves us West Virginia guys.
Okay.
Um, West Virginia guys don't get a lot of the credit that some of the other places, because we don't have what you'd consider a nationally known training facility.
Right on.
Um, but he absolutely loves us. And when he finds out you're from West Virginia, he likes to, you know, put a little extra effort into you, because he knows we don't have uh, a lot of the same things that other states may have with, more well-known training schools, or more well-known training instructors and things like that. We do have in Virginia, you got Boogie's Camp, and
Hmm.
down in Tennessee, you used to have the School of Morton, but now it's Net Pro,
Hmm.
and Ricky closed his school, but he still works with Net Pro. And man, just picking his brain about the times that he got to work with Dusty was, because the dream was always a personal favorite as well. Like I said, him and Magnum TA, America's Team, was one of my favorites when I was 6 years old, 5, 6 years old, first starting to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have the pleasure of ever meeting Dusty Rhodes or anything like that. So getting to meet someone that actually got to spend time with him and stuff like that. Steve is a wonderful individual if you've never met him. Totally down to earth, super cool, and loves helping people in professional wrestling. Um, so I mean, honestly, I've not met a person that I could say was bad, as far as like people that we would consider uh, childhood like heroes that we watched on TV.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I have to say same as far as everybody I've met, real down to earth, and yeah, just as far as Steve Carino, I was a huge ECW fan, and
oh yeah,
as soon as he hit that screen, he was not the ECW, he was the anti-hardcore guy. He was always
yes,
coming out there and whining and didn't want to fight, and
yeah,
I said that's my dude right there. So
king of old
King of
school.
Old School had Jack Victory with him, and
Yep.
oh man, good
I
stuff.
was I was watching a tape of Steve and gosh, it was somebody that he was working. I can't even think of his name. He had Jack Victory with him,
Hmm.
but I can't think of the guy's name. I'd have to refresh the tape. It's been a couple of weeks since I watched it, but just watching Steve back then, because that's when I was when he was doing all that. That's when I was a huge fan of him, and
Hmm.
me doing my thing in the indie scenes and stuff. So it was super cool. And then, yeah, it's always cool when you get to meet someone that you looked up to,
For sure.
and they end up being super cool.
Yeah.
Because so many times you hear horror stories of some of the popular wrestlers at different times that aren't so cool.
You're right. Yeah.
So I've been fortunate on that aspect of things.
And as have I, and that's when like somebody at a random indie show, if they give me shit, I'm like, dude, Al Snow is nice to me. Like, why can't you just be a nice person?
Yeah,
you know?
House Snow's another one that
Yeah,
was super. Yes, House
sweet
Snow's a great dude.
sweetheart. So yeah,
Yeah.
man. And I'm thinking about the time you came in the business. Like I say, TV's hot, West Virginia's hot. And I hate to even ask this question, but
Mhm.
don't take it the wrong way. Do you think, in a way, that spoiled you? Not as far as what you had to go through in the ring, as far as the fans and the hoopla and hype around wrestling at the time and how hot it was.
Um, maybe a little. Um, the popularity of mainstream
Hmm.
wrestling um helped the indie scene a lot because um it was still, I grew up in the attitude era
Hmm.
of what was on TV. That's what they call it, was the attitude era.
Hmm.
And that was a changing platform of professional wrestling, because you were coming out of the golden era,
Yeah.
and you come out of the what we call the old school era.
Okay. Yeah.
And you went from old school straight into the attitude era because it was the rise and popularity of ECW, and then you had Degeneration X on, and then NWO and all that stuff. So everybody was anti-hero, you know piss on the boss kind of thing, F your rules kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And um so it kind of was spoiling because it, it was harder, especially the further north you went,
Hmm.
in to be a traditional baby face
Oh, I'm
and get
sure.
over.
I'm sure.
Like, I two guys that I watched that were prior to the changing of the attitude era on mainstream TV and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, Two guys that were amazing old school style baby faces, and they literally had to become heels because the people just didn't like them
Okay.
because they were traditional babies,
Uh huh.
and it was, and they rode with it. It got over, maybe not to uh, a main event caliber tag team or even singles competition, but definitely got to a suitable mid card range kind of heat that they would develop because people were sick of it at the time.
Okay.
They wanted the guys to come out there and throw knees and elbows and fists and do high crazy moves, and that was the to me that's when it started, was the high crazy moves on mainstream was naturally like Jeff Hardy, and so that's what people wanted to see. And
Mm.
you know if you didn't throw some of that into your performance, you didn't get a lot of the big pops and stuff that you were hoping for.
Yeah.
And I think the further south you go, you get to keep that traditional stuff because um, places like West Virginia, especially like Southern West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, they still keep a lot of the old school style of stuff, but they throw a little bit of the new style of things in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the further north you go, it's a different ball game. They've adapted more of the lucha kind of stuff, the strong style, Japanese style, hard hitting, knees and elbows and um, thousands of super kicks kind of thing,
Right.
and that's what they pop for up there.
Right.
And so it's I can say it did spoil me a little bit,
Mm.
um, but it also humbled you in the same way because um, even throughout some of the pops that I would get, with my tag partner, even singles competition kind of stuff, um, it humbled this little old blue collar country boy from Coal City, West Virginia.
Right
You know
on.
what I mean?
I get
So
it.
it's kind of like we said, it's a double bladed sword kind of thing.
It is.
Spoiled you, but also humbled you.
Yeah. Because believe me, I was one of those shithead fans that was going to ECW shows one night, and then I was coming to indie show here in West Virginia and saying all
Yeah,
the crazy shit that I said at an ECW show, and you know what? Back then, every one of these indies they had a commissioner, just like Raw did, and then some guy would
yeah,
be fighting with the commissioner, and hey, it was good times. It was good times. So I get
it
it.
was.
So
Yep.
we've already rolled into the final 10 minutes. I can't believe it.
Holy
I
moly!
tell
Wow.
you, we've covered a lot of ground, though. I think you put a lot of good
Yeah.
stuff out there. So, in the last 10 minutes, I give everybody the opportunity. If you got any upcoming matches, merchandise, social media, anything you want to get off your chest, any advice you can give to younger talent, anything you want to put out there into the ether, the floor is all yours, sir.
First, we'll start with the younger talent. Guys, don't stop working. Invest in yourself. Put your time in the ring. Put your time in the gym. Um, just don't stop working. If you got a dream, chase it. You only live once, so chase the dreams. You're gonna have roadblocks and obstacles throughout every aspect of life. Not everybody's gonna like you, uh, but don't let that phase you. Do your best. Stay humble. Stay. I guess the word I'm looking for is vigilant. Just stay hungry. Stay after it. Um, as far as upcoming matches, I'm gonna step foot in the ring for the first time on next Wednesday in Bland, Virginia, against a gentleman that I've never wrestled against before. It'll be the first time, so it should be a pretty good contest. He's coming back from a little hiatus himself. It'll be his first match back in, I think, 6 or 7 months. It'll be my first match back in 8 years,
Wow.
so it'll be hopefully be a little bit of a tune-up match for the both of us. Um, but Crash Cassidy, if you've
Oh
heard of him,
man. Oh no.
so
Your
yeah,
first
it's going
match
to
in
be.
8 years, and you got who did
Yeah.
Joe book this? Who's got it in for you?
I well, I think for Joe, love him to death, but he likes to try to push me and give me the best people. I think he looked at it as me coming back from 8 years and Crash coming back from 6 months. It would be a good test for both of us. I know Crash has got a little bit of size on me. I'm no small guy. I'm
Mhm.
6 foot, 250 pounds, and I think he's about 6'2", 6'3", and close to 300 pounds himself. So
Mhm.
it should be a good physical, hard hitting match. But that's the kind I like. I don't shy away from any kind of fight. Um, I've got a pretty good pedigree behind me and got to work with some really good people throughout Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and MMA. So there's no tall task that I look at as a tall task. It's just a task.
There you go. I love it. Heck yeah. Well, I definitely wish you luck. I know there'll be video from that, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, it's at the Bland County Fair that they're having up there, and it'll be next Wednesday night, August the 20th. I'm pretty sure the bell time's probably around 7 or 7:30. So if you're in the Bland, Virginia area, come out and see us.
How cool. Heck yeah. Well, I
Yes.
definitely wish you luck. Congrats on the comeback after eight
I,
years.
yeah, I appreciate it. The following night,
Mhm.
be kind of cool. Had one of my students. Man, he's a talented kid. 16 years old and shining like a diamond right now, man. The kid is so talented, super cool young man, just very polite and shows all kinds of respect to everybody and trying to learn all he can. We've been working in the ring a little bit, but uh, I guess like all young bucks, they want to challenge the older guys a
Uh
little bit. So he stepped up, and I was trying to. He's got a big match coming up in Bland, Virginia himself against Jeff Paul, and we all know Jeff
oh.
Paul ain't no joke.
Well,
I mean, right now Jeff Paul is tearing it up, um, getting out there working for NWA.
mhm.
So Jeff Paul's no joke, and I was trying to tell my little buddy Nate that, Nate Saturn, he's 101. He's a stud of a kid, but I was trying to tell him to hold back just a little bit.
Mhm.
So trying to reason with him. He's stepping in the ring with Jeff Paul.
Yeah.
So, but he didn't like it. So he wants to try to prove to me that he's got what it takes to you know
Okay.
take on Jeff Paul. So we're going to tangle the following night after the Bland show, and we're going to go a little bit of a round there for Joe and the TV taping, and we'll see how that goes. So that should be fun.
Man, when you started talking about him, I said, "Here goes another guy putting over this Nate Saturn kid today." I tell you what, anybody I talk to, if I talk wrestling, if I won't put everybody's name out there, but the kid's doing something right because all y'all are in love with this kid. So God
I'm
bless you, Nate
telling you,
Saturn. I can't wait to meet you
yes.
myself.
Oh, you're going to be he's a good kid, and he is super talented, and
Good.
he really is the what I'll throw it out there, and I know some other guys have already said it, but he's the future of West Virginia, Southern West Virginia wrestling. I mean, he
Good.
really is. The kid is super talented, super talented. And he's got a great head on his shoulder.
And that
I mean, just
helps.
sitting around and talk to him, man. He's got a mind for the sport, and just has a ton of family support too. He's
Nah,
got a amazing group of family members that's supporting him and backing him and
good.
helping him throughout his journey. So he's going to be an exciting one to watch.
I love it. Well, we're talking about he's the future. What about your future? Two matches lined up. Let's say they go great. You feel in tip top shape. Where you go from there?
I, to be honest with you, I'm gonna let some matches take place, see how they go, see where I'm at. I've been, saying my prayers and eating my vitamins kind of stuff.
Okay.
Hitting the gym hard, trying to get myself back in as good a shape as I can get. Um, I still don't feel I'm, it's just the humble mindset, I believe, but I still don't feel that I'm quite 100% to where I want to be.
Okay.
But there's also no time like the present. I'm definitely a sink or swim kind of person, and I ain't afraid to swim with sharks. Um, I can walk in a room full of lions and still feel right at home. Even if I'm the slab of meat they're wanting to eat, I'll still feel right at home. It don't faze me a bit. Well, we'll just see where things go. Hopefully, this I can definitely say that however long this run that I have in professional wrestling, it will be the last one, whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or two matches. Uh, when I decide to walk away from it this time, it will be the last. So if you're out there and you want to see Tony Perdue or Anthony Perdue wrestle in the ring, and you haven't ever seen me and you want to, now's the time to take a chance to come and do it, because this will be the last go around.
Well, hey, and if I can add to it, Thursday would be a perfect time. Everybody's talking about this Nate Saturn kid. We got a lot of viewers in the area. You've been hearing all the hoopla about APW. It's every Thursday, man. Every Thursday.
Every Thursday night.
Come on. What?
And you can't beat it. Where else can you go? Anywhere. You can't even go to McDonald's and entertain yourself for $10. If you go to McDonald's, you're spending $12, $13. Come on out to pro wrestling, see some local talent, some local stars, some big stars from out of the area come in. Just so many talented guys getting in the ring, putting life and limb on the line to entertain you for only $10. Where else can you go and do that? You can't even go to the movies for $10 hardly.
Good old-fashioned American entertainment. That's our roots, baby.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Good old fashioned, good old American pro wrestling, as we like to call it.
And that's see, it works perfectly.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I appreciate you joining me, Anthony. I'll ask you to hang on the line if you don't mind.
I don't mind a bit.
I appreciate you. And to the listeners, this is why we do it. Good people doing great things, and wish you the best with the comeback. To everybody watching, this has been 250 episodes. I can't thank you enough. We've come this far. We're closing in on 1 million views total on the channel. So, got a lot of tricks and surprises up my sleeve. Things are about to get wacky. To the people that kept my back, I love you. Spooky Lou loves you. Go out there and live your dreams. Don't take no shit from nobody. Do it your way. Do it how you want to. Treat each other with kindness and respect. Go out there and enjoy nature, too. I'm on that rant. Just go befriend a butterfly. I'm telling you, hug a tree, you'll feel better. I love you. We're out of here.